All right, we're getting right into this. We're not wasting time. We're going right into this. I'm tired. It's late. Got a back-to-back, so I'm trying to get this episode up early. My voice is gone. Let's talk Knicks. They lose tonight. But let's talk. Welcome to BD4, an RJ Carbone podcast. BD4, where there is no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. We also do MMA. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, MMA on occasion. BD4 is a 5-star show on Apple Podcasts, also available in video format on YouTube and Spotify. So thanks for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy the show.
Champion of the world, turning, looking, see ya! Anthony for three, bang! That one goes down, and the game is tied!
Penetrates, creates, and showing some dexterity as well with the left hand.
Yankees win!
All right, let's do it. Let's get right into this episode, man. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, RJ, episode 498 of the show. And again, I'm diving right into it. So it was another bad loss, one that can happen. The Minnesota game should have been an easy win. So it's more on that game that's frustrated me about this 2-game streak. But this one was a more crucial game against Miami in Miami tonight. Because, the Knicks are, I think after the loss now, are just 2 games above the Heat for the number 5 spot. They let the Heat take this one 127-120 and pull within, again, 2 games from the Knicks at 5. So next week will be a very stressful game, obviously depending on the standings from here to then. But still, it could mean a lot. It's also the tiebreaker game between the two. Do they tie? So it was a bad loss. And now tomorrow, if they go out there and they get lazy again, like they've done against Minnesota and Charlotte the past couple weeks, they can forget about it. Because shit's gonna change in a second like that in this league if you don't, if you mess around and find out, right? But the Knicks couldn't buy a stop tonight once again. So why would they win? They did not deserve to win. There were some bad turnovers leading to early transition baskets in the first half. And it was 3-point defense. I mean, we'll get to that. You got some good performances in there from Grimes, RJ, but I wasn't really too impressed with everybody else. I just thought the team defense was a complete atrocity. Tyler Hero with big shots down the stretch. He had 20-something tonight. Jimmy Butler at 35, getting his 14 free throws. Free throw merchant. Gabe Vincent knocking down the 3-point ball early. Strus a couple times in the fourth. I don't know. Just zero defense. And then it somehow got worse in the fourth quarter for the Knicks when they let the Heat drop 35 on 6 of 7 3-point shooting. Fourth quarter was basically just Tyler Hero and Max Strus bitching the Knicks from the outside. The game got away in the final 6 minutes, and so the Knicks lose 127-120. This is going to be a short episode again. I'm sorry. We're getting to the dog days of the regular season. Once we get to the playoffs, I'll ramp up again. Or maybe once we start winning again, I'll ramp up again and be more enthusiastic. And these episodes will be more detailed and longer. But a few points in this game really, really just ticked me off and bothered me. I guess for one, the officiating was crap. I'm not going to sit here and blame officiating, the officials, like every Knicks fan is probably doing right now across the internet, but that bothered me all throughout the game. There were terrible calls. I felt like it favored Miami. I'm not saying, it was rigged, but I'm saying it was unbalanced. But it doesn't mean you can lose your composure. So I thought, one, Randall late in the third quarter was a very annoying moment. And then two, this had nothing to do with officiating. Emmanuel quickly midway through the fourth quarter, we'll talk about that. But with the Randall one, there were 3 minutes and change left in the third quarter, and Miami was on a bit of a run. Randall turns it over trying to do his stupid jump pass in the middle of the restricted area. Then the very next time down, he turns it over again with the offensive foul on the dunk. So he gets called for charging. The Heat go down, and Butler knocks down the fadeaway jumper. And then Randall loses composure, and he gets a tech, I guess, barking at officials again after the basket. And, it's just like, we talked about this the other night, too. It's garbage like that, which you do not like seeing from one of your best players. But we unfortunately see it all the time. I understand the officiating was bad. It was beyond dreadful and humiliating, really. I was embarrassed for them. But it's every night now. It's funny because MSG Network, you got Breen and them bringing up every night how Randall's trying to keep his composure more this year. And I laugh every time they bring it up because they bring it up every night. And they only bring it up because it's during Randall getting teed up or something. But the guy is just way too emotionally charged. It's like his hormones are kicking in and he's pregnant or he's on his period. It's telling you, man. It's shit like that that's going to cost the Knicks a playoff game. It's gonna. You don't think that in the postseason, when every play is more tense and when the officials swallow their whistles and let these guys, play more physical, you don't think there are going to be tough calls and blown calls and no calls? Like that kind of stuff's going to happen. So it's on you as one of the leaders of the team to keep your composure, because every time you don't, you're literally giving points to the other team and you're risking being ejected from the game. So that right there is toxic and it hurts your team. It's immature. I just don't understand how this keeps happening with the guy. Each tech he gets, that's a point for the other team. He's up to what? Did they say 9 tonight? It's like, who do you think? You're not LeBron James. You're an all-star player in a league that's full of plenty of all-stars. You're not special. You don't stand out from them. You're no rarity. You're Julius Randle. Check your damn ego, man. You're a really good player. But that's where it stops. Like, you don't have that privilege to be able to do this every single night. Barking at the zebras. It's frustrating. And I don't mean to sound like, shut up and dribble type of person, but just shut up and play the game. You're the leader. You got to know better because it's harming your team. So that bothered me. And then we had the Quickly moment, which was more the turning point of the game. It was more about the game. The Randall blunder was more just, it's my concern for the playoffs. But this was Quickly's just his dumb decision making hurting the Knicks, and in my opinion, it caused them to lose that fourth quarter there. Excuse me, caused them to lose the game. There were about 7 minutes and change left. The Knicks are down 101-100 in the fourth quarter. Brunson's getting rest, so you have Quickly out there as the primary point guard. He's taking the ball up court. He gets into the half court, goes one-on-one with somebody. I forget who it was, number 91. And he decides to, again, the Knicks are down just 1 point, but Quickly decides to launch a 20-foot step-back elbow triple with 7 or 8 seconds on the shot clock for no reason. Instead of getting the Knicks into their set, he senselessly launches a three-pointer over a pretty large defender in a 1 point game. just out of rhythm of the offense. And this literally led to their downfall. I mean, the Knicks played no defense. We'll get to that. But right after this moment, the Knicks were down 1. Right after this J.R. Smith type moment, the Miami Heat go on a 7-0 run. And from there, it was all them. It was all Miami. The Knicks didn't come close, closer than 3. And like seconds after that, they were suddenly down double figures. So that was the moment for me that completely ruined the last bit of momentum or hope the Knicks had. Even with them not deserving the win beforehand anyway, I thought the Knicks had at least had a shot to win it, or to tie it, or to do something. And that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. So those couple of things just really bothered me. There were some questionable decisions by Tom Thibodeau tonight. Again, we'll get to the defensive stuff, but I thought there were a couple other factors. I thought it's hard, but I wanted to see more Quentin Grimes in the fourth quarter. You got Quentin Grimes out there. We talk all year how he's not being featured in the offense, but he finally breaks out tonight. He gets 12 shots up, drops 22 points on 6 triples, shoots 58% overall, and he doesn't play the fourth quarter until the game was already over. The guy checked back in, and the Knicks are down 10 points with 3 minutes remaining. Really? So I thought that was very frustrating. The entire, the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was quickly out there with Barrett, Hart, Randall, and Mitch and Hartenstein rotating in and out. Quickly was awful all night. He scored 5 points. He missed 7 of his 8 shots. He had nothing for you. Mentioned the bad shot. As soon as he took that, he came out of the game. I'm not saying you take Quickly out in the first 6 minutes there because you needed a point guard, with Brunson having played the entire third quarter. He was going to get his rest, and he wasn't going to play the first half of the fourth. But I think you check Randall out. He wasn't giving you much anyway. You check Randall out, and you bump up RJ and Hart to the 3 and 4 and go small. I feel like the Heat are a favorable matchup size-wise. I would have tinkered with that. But I understand it also. I'm not going to sit here and blame Thibodeau because I know Thibodeau likes size. One of his MOs is to emphasize rebounds, and the Knicks are a great rebounding team. That's why they're so successful. But it just felt like to me that Grimes, with how he was going, should have saw some minutes in the fourth quarter. But there are going to be a lot of those iffy moments now, where it's going to be difficult to find that balance because you've now got depth at wing. You don't just have RJ and Grimes. You've got RJ, Grimes, and now Josh Hart, who's become an A+ wing since he's come here. And you only have 2 guys you want ball handling in the fourth quarter, right? And Thibs, we know he's hell-bent on the 9-man. At this point, he's not going to change it. So there are going to be clunky moments like this where you're like, he should have played. It's always going to be, if all 3 of them are hot, and they were, Grimes was hot, RJ was hot, Josh Hart was having a good game, you're going to have moments where you're going to be disappointed someone doesn't play down the stretch. Another idea in that fourth quarter could have been just to pull Quickly straight up in the first 6 minutes, and you have RJ slide down to the 1 and play on the ball a little bit. He's been on a better stretch of late. He's playing real well. 26 points tonight. Efficient once again. So maybe that could have worked for a few minutes, and then you brought Brunson back in a little sooner. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to really criticize him for that. I understand it now since we have Josh Hart. He's always going to play the fourth, it seems, and I have no issue with that. It makes it more difficult. You're going to have nights like this where you have an odd man out. But it'd be easier, if Thibodeau did expand the rotation to 10 or, what I call 9.5. You give Deuce McBride 7-8 minutes a night. You can't tell me with the way the Knicks are struggling defensively right now that Deuce McBride wouldn't help. The kid just provides a winning impact. Every time he comes in, he plays like hell-bent defense. And he's doing everything. He does everything that we aren't doing right now. He pressures the ball. He succeeds in the point of attack. He brings help in the pick and roll coverage. He does everything the Knicks are struggling with right now. With Brunson, with the way he's being hunted right now, why not shake it up and bring Deuce McBride in there a little bit? So it's a little frustrating sometimes with Thibodeau. But aside from the substitution patterns, my other problem, the guy never challenges, man. He doesn't challenge. This time it was on the Jimmy Butler call. I thought he definitely should have challenged, but we got nothing. And we see it a little too often where he just stands pat and doesn't make the move. Doesn't go for the challenge. And I'm afraid that's going to hurt the Knicks in a playoff round. You know, you had Butler out of a trap, picked up his pivot foot twice. And it was like in the final 2 or so minutes of the game, he traveled. That could have been a good challenge. If the travel occurred before the foul, that could have been overturned. There's another, I think there's another call too, wasn't there? But it happens a lot with Thibodeau, that he just doesn't throw the flag, so to speak. Like it's frustrating. But again, I'm not sitting here and I'm not going to blame this loss on Tom Thibodeau, because there are more things to talk about than that. And the defense, that once again, for a second consecutive night, that was the real problem. That was the real issue with this team, and it is an issue going forward. And I'm gonna sound repetitive here, but I'm sorry, because when you repeat the same mistakes, that will happen. You know, because the offense has been good, and it continues to be good for now. You know, I've got my concerns about the sustainability of it, but yeah, the offense was good. Yeah, Brunson, he had some trouble getting into the lane, and you know, Miami likes to trap on penetration, and we saw them seal off the passing lanes, which led to a few of those turnovers off the kickouts. But the Knicks overall moved the ball very well. They had 28 assists. They scored 120 points. They shot the three at a high clip. So 40 or 50% tonight. But they were good. They shot the foul line well. They gave up 140 points to Minnesota on 57% three-point shooting. And now they give up 127 to Miami on 57% three-point shooting. So a total of 270 almost. A total of 267 points allowed the last 2 nights to 2 ball clubs who are bottom third in offense. So, not a good look. You know, for a second night in a row, the Knicks were nowhere to be found on that side of the ball. They're not playing with any sense of urgency right now, and being tired isn't an excuse, because that's how you're going to have to win a playoff series, by grinding through fatigue. The Knicks are just playing like a team who thinks they are guaranteed to get the number 5 spot. That's the way it feels like. You know, their defense, there's nothing they're excelling in defensively right now. They can't stop anything in the point of attack. There is no rim protection. They can't stop hacking. I know the officials were bad, but they're slow in rotation. They're slow in coverage. The pick and roll coverage is very poor right now. You're getting lit the fuck up from 3-point distance at the moment. 16 triples on 57% tonight. The transition defense has been pretty bad lately, and it was horrific in the first half, especially tonight. The Knicks had 17 turnovers. The Heat turned that into 20 points. That's how they're going to generate their offense. The second half, the Knicks had 5 offensive fouls of the 10 turnovers they had. And you also, for a second consecutive night, have a guy like Jalen Brunson being targeted defensively, and that's starting to concern me a little bit. I don't think that's a coincidence after Minnesota that Miami, they're smart. They do their scouting. They're one of the more intelligent organizations in basketball, that they went right at him. You know, you got Mitchell Robinson giving Jimmy Butler the baseline tonight, basically begging him to drive right on that one possession. The 3-point again, the Knicks are just cheating off the perimeter like it's 1975. And Thibs, I hate to keep bringing up his name, but he's not really doing much to shake it up and change. No doubles, no ball pressure, nothing. No traps of any sort, no zoning, nothing at all. Way too much focus on the paint. And I'm just thinking to myself, is this scheme really worth it? Protecting the middle with help, icing the middle to force the weak side skip pass, and I don't know. How is it going to work? Cheating off the outside like that against Donovan Mitchell, Karis LeVert, Darius Garland, who can all shoot over 40%. Those are guys who flash to the perimeter, can play off ball, and shoot that three. How's that going to work? You're so focused on the paint like these guys aren't shooting threes today. The Knicks give up a lot of threes. A lot of makes, a lot of takes. The percentage favors them, but it doesn't matter when you're giving up the volume they're giving up, because at the end of the day, points win a team a game. And if they keep giving up three-pointers, it's not going to help in the playoffs. You got Tyler Hero torching you in the fourth quarter, relocating off screens that every single Knick got called on tonight. The Heat were losing the Knicks constantly off those pin downs. Josh Hart on a play in the corner lost Hero. I mean, everyone really. Guys were at the hips of the ball handler, chasing on their backs. They were just out of control, lost. And again, it goes back to what I keep repeating, man. I'm scared. I'm scared that the Knicks' three best players, their three best scorers, are also their three worst defenders. Your 3 20 points per game scorers shouldn't scare you when they take the floor together. And what I mean scare you is shouldn't scare their own fan base. You know? But their defense is really bad at times. And I worry about that in a playoff series. I do. But that's it. We're going to head to break. Wrap it up with our 2 game balls. We'll hand those out. And then we'll get to the trivia. And that'll be that. All right. Because I'm not wasting any more time. Let's get to our break. Be right back. Hey guys, so if you are a listener of the podcast often and you want to know where to find me on social media, you can find me on Facebook at BD4. You can find me on Twitter at BD4Pod. And you can also find me on Instagram at Rob J. Carbone. BD4 is located on many different platforms. You can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, and if you do there, be sure to give us a 5-star rating and review. You can listen to it on Spotify, but you can also watch the podcast on both Spotify and YouTube. BD4 is available on many other platforms as well. All you got to do is search it up. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and much more. All right, so welcome back to the show. I'm your host, RJ Carbone. Episode 498. Let's get to our 2 game balls. Let's give one out to RJ Barrett among the starters.
Bing bang.
Thought RJ was good tonight, man. 26, 6, and 5. He shot the ball well. 62%. He shot 50% from 3. Got to the line a lot and converted 100%. Getting to the rim. I thought he made some excellent reads tonight, RJ Barrett, as a playmaker. Making some really good reads on the defense and swinging the ball out on the fly like that. That's always been an area of improvement for him, is to make those passes. So he was good. I'm not going to spend time talking about, positives in a terrible loss like this, but he was good. And off the bench, I thought Josh Hart deserves the game ball. 12 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, a couple steals, and a block every night, filling up the stat sheet. Not much in the rebounding department tonight, but he did play good defense. Okay defense. He shot the ball efficiently. He seems to shoot the ball efficiently every night. So he was good. You know, I'm not talking good things tonight. I'm just tired of losing. You know, we've lost 2 in a row. That's enough for me to get upset. But we've got Orlando tomorrow night. It's the second of a back-to-back, and I don't care. We got to take care of Orlando. They are 13 games below 500. They've got the 13th seed. They're a bad team. They play hard. They're young. They're going to make the Knicks fight. I know that. But the Knicks have no excuse but to win that game. And if they lose that game, they're in deep shit. So, let's head to our final break, get back, and wrap it up with our trivia. That'll be that. Stay with us. Be right back. We also have a website now for BD4. If you go to BD4blog.com, you can find the blog, the podcast links, and also where to find me on social media. Just go to BD4blog.com. Studio 69 Productions is a podcast production agency created by Leo Rodriguez to allow content creators to market their podcast. It's an online platform that will market your podcast or any other project that you're working on. Get in touch with Leo Rodriguez from Studio 69 Productions. You can find Studio 69 Productions on Instagram at Studio69NJ. Studio 69 Productions, where dreams are heard and born. All right. Let's wrap this one up. Let's get to our trivia question. Before we do, probably should have brought this up after last episode because I recorded it after. But, you know, rest in peace to Willis Reed, man. Legendary Nick passed at, was he 80? I don't know, I forget. But he passed a couple nights ago. And legendary Nick, 2-time finals MVP. The guy was one of the pioneers of the Knicks. You know, it was obviously a big impact on MSG. Breen and Clyde, you could tell they were holding it in tonight during the telecast. Clyde especially told a really crazy, I don't want to say crazy, really heartwarming story about how he found out on the plane. Coach Thibs came to talk to him. It was, you know, it's tough. Willis Reed was, you know, from what they say, obviously I wasn't around during that time, but from what you hear about him all the time, the stories that are passed down, not just a great player, but a great human being. And, you know, you used to see him at the Garden all the time. You know, just a few weeks ago when they had the top 75, not top 75, when they had the 75, I don't know, they do a few weeks ago, like the 70s Knicks teams, they came onto the court at halftime or something, and Willis Reed was there, I believe. You see him a couple times at MSJ, so it's unfortunate, but yeah, rest in peace to Willis Reed. Let's wrap this up from here. Let's get to our trivia question of the day to wrap this up. All right. So, for episode 498, our NYY-NYK-MMA question of the day is: true or false? The Knicks defeated the Heat in each of the first 4 games they ever faced each other. Is that true or false? True or false? The Knicks defeated the Heat in each of the first 4 games they ever faced each other. All right, so let me know the answer wherever you can reach me. If you get the answer correct, I'll give you a shout out in front of all 2 of my followers. True or false? The Knicks defeated the Heat in each of the first 4 games they ever faced each other. I'm tired. It's technically Thursday, March 23rd, the morning of, as I'm recording. So this is the same night of the Knicks magic that's about to happen in I don't know, 13 or 14 hours from now. So what was that, 7 o'clock game? I don't know. It's 2 in the friggin' morning as I'm recording this right now, so I gotta get to bed. All right. Yeah, I've got an exam to take tomorrow. Oh, jeez. All right. Let's end this. Thank you. Later. Go Knicks. This episode was brought to you by Anchor.